Hello, welcome to United Color Graphics. I'm Steve. This is the front lobby of the building as you walk in the door. As you can see, some of the graphic orientations here on the wall that we have done for customers and also for ourselves. This is one of the Birmingham sky not safe, which allows us to go in and basically add to the shot, restyle the shot, or whatever. So that's pretty much the way the digital photography works. And I'm kind of maybe giving you a little bit too much information. I'll let Leanne explain a few things.
I've been at United Color Graphics for a little over 2 years. First started on Leaf System when the boxes came in. I'm a photographer. I separate all the work. I proof, I Photoshop, I do color correction, pretty much anything that pertains to this department and also that flows into other departments. So,
okay, now I mentioned to you about the 4x5 system. I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. Yeah, Steve's right. With the 4x5, this stays in the studio. I pretty much am the studio photographer. We also have Michael, who's working the camera, and he tends to go on location. This is our second system, which it was the first one that we had. It's a 2 1/4 Hasselblad with the old digital back. And these boxes over here are part of an on-location project that we have going right now. We tend to bring some items back, shoot in here, and then also on location.
Are you ready to do the shot?
Yeah.
I'm going to kill the lighting and basically give you what you see exactly how the digital process works. Leanne's got the shot set up. She's basically going to the keyboard, and this is the same thing as pushing a button on a standard camera. With this process, it shoots 3 exposures, RGB, red, green, blue. It takes approximately just a few seconds for each exposure. So then 20 to 30 seconds, you've got your image in the computer ready to manipulate or do Photoshop work or whatever on.
And it also in this stage, after the item's shot, you can go in and detail it in your detail box and see if you've got everything lined up straight. This client wants all his labels dead on center. So what I would do from here, I have a crooked label.
So like she's showing you, once she sees that image on the screen, she realizes something's not exactly right, so she's able to go over and reset without a waste of film, without a waste of time.
And reshoot the item.
What customers like about this is you're viewing the shot on the screen within seconds after it's taken, and at that point you can see if there's a problem that needs to be corrected. With traditional photography, you tend to bracket shots because of your exposures, and you also shoot a roll of film to get one shot in case something's wrong, and usually it's a day or two before you realize if you've got a problem.
And after everything is lined up straight, all I do is save the image and I'm ready for my next shot.
Okay, once the shot is completed at this workstation or at the workstation for the 2 1/4, at that moment it comes into the Mac department for the studio. Now at these workstations, we basically have a workstation. For each of the camera systems out there. At that point, once the files are saved and they come into the workstations, they go through the proprietary software programs. They go into Photoshop to basically tweak them in Photoshop. If it's going into a layout, you could actually do cork work here, which means doing typesetting, pricing, that kind of things for catalog work. Then once the entire composite page is okayed on the screen, at that point it goes over to the Iris 4012, which is a very high quality proofing system basically. It's an inkjet proofing system, very expensive piece of equipment. But the ideal thing with the Iris is when a customer is viewing an Iris, he is pretty much seeing what his product is going to look like as it comes off of a press at Craftsman or one of the printers. The Iris is a very good quality proof. As a matter of fact, you can see an Iris here, which this is a preliminary Iris. It gives you a very high quality look. And customers like this because once they see an Iris, they pretty much know they're seeing what their product is going to look like once it's printed. And these are what we call preliminary irises. There will be some Photoshop work done between these cups to show some changing mugs of this particular customer. So this is basically approved for us and not ready for customer approval. From this point, we will carry you back out into the studio and go to one of our newest additions to the building, which is our kitchen area. We've had a few customers that want a kitchen area because they're interested in doing food shots. They're interested in having a kitchen background in their shots. So what we've done is basically try to create a fairly nice, modern-looking kitchen, which is also functional. A customer can come in, actually prepare food at this location to do food photography, or like I said, like yesterday, we did a shot using the kitchen scene as a background. So it kind of works twofold there. And Margie wanted me to be sure and tell everyone the changes, additions, that kind of thing that has been made to the building since we've been here. This is one location I like to point to because this used to be a testing lab room. There was a solid concrete room with a 7-foot high concrete ceiling, a very dirty, nasty room. All of that was torn out and the kitchen installed pretty much by myself and the employees here at the company. So we tend to try to do all the work we can here as far as improving the building, doing as much as we can ourselves, what we're capable of to naturally to save money and because it's done the way we want it to look. So the same thing with the studio back here. As far as the back part of the studio, this used to be several small concrete block wall rooms that all had to be torn out. It's been like 30 tons of material torn out of this back area. Everything was cleaned, painted, basically getting it to a point where we could have a photography studio. And also we had to put a heat and air system in the back part of the studio too. And all of these things have greatly enhanced the cost of the building. We feel like it's definitely worth a lot more now than it was when we basically moved in. Okay. Now, come on up. There's one other department I would like to carry you through, and it's one of our newest departments. It's one of the integral parts of the business, and it's our scanning department. Are we going to be able to get through with the camera, Michael?
Barely.
The building's laid out pretty much as a maze. Of course, we know our way around. When customers come in, they tend to think that we've created a maze here. But believe it or not, the workflow is actually really good for what we're trying to do here. Basically, we'll carry you through the dark room door, which goes into the scanning and film processing department. Okay. And voila, we're in the scanning department. In this department, this is basically where we take customer reflectives, which are photographs that customers would take, or either high-end photographers would take, or we can also take transparencies, which most of you may not know the terminology of transparency. Just think of a 35mm slide. Some of them being that size, some of them much larger. Yes, here's some, what, 2 1/4, Michael, or 35s? What's 35s?
These are 35s.
Okay. What we do is take the transparencies or reflectives. Michael, who's operating the camera, is our scanner operator. He can actually come in, mount the transparencies to a glass drum, put them on the high-end PAL 345 digital scanner. At that point, once he does all of his calibrations and begins the scan, which varies depending upon resolution you're looking for, file size, those kind of things. Once the scan is finished, it's directly into the computer. You've basically created a digital file from an analog piece of film. Michael may want to explain a little bit about the scanner as he's filming. Yeah, this gives you an idea of exactly what happens. As you can see, he's got a transparency mounted to the drum at this point, and you have a laser. It's actually a laser reading the color on the